Good morning and welcome to this weekly markets update from MRC Markets. Today is the 2nd of May 2014. What we'll do today is go through some technical analysis on Euro, Dollar, Cable, Dollar Swiss, Aussie and Gold. Just going to review what's been going on in the markets this week and give some sort of outlook for next week as well in time for next Friday's video. I'll not maybe be making any trade calls or recommendations in this video. Trade at your own risk. If you could please read our full disclaimer on our website, which is www.mrcmarkets.com. Also, for any new followers out there, we have 3 moving averages on each of these charts. The red one is a 50 simple moving average, the purple is 100 simple, and the gold is a 200 simple moving average. Okay, and I think that's all the disclaimer stuff done. First of all, let's look at what's going on today, because of course the week is not finished yet. I mean, I'm doing this video, you can see it's at 20 past 8 at the minute. So in terms of in terms of this week, it's been a fairly quiet week. I mean, the start of the week I think was fairly interesting. My memory is a bit like a goldfish, but you can see yesterday it was just a sort of trickling down day. And we had a big move on, that was Wednesday. We had some, I forget what news that was now. What happened on Wednesday? Let's have a look. I'm trying to think what that was now. I think it was, we had the GDP out, not the GDP. Yeah, from the US, that was it, yeah, of course. Weak US GDP. God, my memory's terrible. Yeah, the forecast was 1.2%, and then it came out at 0.1%, so much weaker number there. You can see we got that real rip up there. Initially, you can see sellers coming down, taking out stops, and then it really just did rip up for the rest of the day. Then Monday and Tuesday, pretty much standard days, really. We had a bullish morning on Monday. What was that for? Monday, yeah, we had good pending. I know, what am I talking about? That was a Monday morning. I cannot remember now for the life of me. On Tuesday there was quite a bit of data, I remember. So we got the drop on Euro in the afternoon. That was UK GDP. Yeah, that was a German CPI. Was weak. Yeah, so I mean, a fairly interesting week, nothing major. You can see, it was quiet yesterday and it's already quiet this morning, and that is because, of course, we have the non-farm payrolls, which is coming out today, and it's coming out at 1:30 p.m. So that's GMT, and it's forecast to be 216,000 from the previous 192,000. So the key line in the sand is this 200k marker. Above that is very, very good, and below is not. And we're expecting, this is Forex Factory, not me, expecting 216,000. So we're expecting a good figure here from the US. We're also expecting the unemployment rate to fall as well. So I think anything below that 200,000, which would then follow on from the sort of the poor GDP number, which was the highlight of the week. And we should see the US dollar really get weak here. And of course, the only final thing to mention, I've skipped this, which I shouldn't have, is the UK construction PMI. So that's forecast to be 62.3 from the previous 62.5. So fairly in line with expecting, just a slightly weaker number there, but it's still above the 60 level, which is quite good for the UK. Okay then, so yeah, let's flip it back to this weekly chart. You can see Euro. I think I remember speaking in last week's video. The last couple of weeks, really, I've personally had a sort of a bullish bias on this weekly chart, and this is the reason why. So we got the fib from the low of the year to the high of the year. You can see it with the period separators, by the way, very useful, I think, especially on this weekly chart. It doesn't, you have to figure out where the start of the year was. It does it for you. So uptrend of the year, retracement down to sort of 50%, 61.8% retracement zone, and then we're starting to get a real move up here. It's the last couple of weeks, it's sort of stalled for a bit. But you can see last week's candle, bit of lower wick then, even the previous one, bit of lower wick. and you can see it's doing what it should be doing really. It's formed a sort of lower wick, nice bullish continuation pattern here, and we're starting to get a nice green body. And I think with a weak NFP number today, so if it's below 200,000, they would not be surprised to see this 0.0% line get taken out, and that's at the 1.3966 level. And that's it in terms of the week. That's the only thing I'm personally focused on. I don't think there's anything else majorly out there. Yeah, it just, when you look at it from there, it's a bullish setup. I would not be surprised to see these highs get taken out. And you can see this even clearer on the daily chart as well. So that's the same fib. But then what we also have been speaking about the last couple of weeks is this move here. So this is the smaller fib within that bigger move. Lovely uptrend, came back down, retraced, and then sort of stalled for a while, and then you can see a couple of days back with that weak GDP number, came back down, pierced the sort of 50% level, and we got bought up. So this setup looks to be, I mean, it's all about NFP today in terms of are we going to see highs get taken out and the sort of 139 level get tested as well. That's the key sort of round number to keep in focus. And any sort of shorter term supports, you got 138. The round numbers have been really good on the euro recently. So then the 1.3850s is a sort of smaller support. You got there, you can see nice previous spike highs, previous resistance could turn into new support. So yeah, they're the two main setups really. I mean, and the counter move, which is trying its hardest to hold, is this move here we've spoken about. It's a 78.6. I'll just draw it up again. I only really look at the 50% and 78.6 on these videos. It just keeps it nice and simple, but it is a good level, the 78.6. You can see that spike there, which coincided with the 139 handle as well. That's the one that's trying to hold, but you can see we've got to close above this 61.8 here, and that could well act as support pretty much as we speak. It's testing it as we speak, so do not be surprised to see that turn into support, but it's trying its hardest to hold. But to me, the charts say to me that we'll probably get a weak number today. Of course, it doesn't have to happen, but I would not be surprised to see get a weak number following on from that UK GDP. Then the other thing to keep a note is just the trendline support really as well. That's been holding very nicely. I mean, I'm not a major fan of trend lines, but you can see that one's been working out perfectly well. You can see with that smaller fib as well. I've just flipped onto the 4-hour chart now. You can see that's a nice bit of confidence we had there the other day as well. So I mean, that key support there, you got the 50% is 1.3789 as well. I mean, you can also draw the 138 level as well if you like the round numbers. So yeah, I mean, if we get a weak number today, I would have thought that we'd see these 139.60s get taken out. But if we get a strong number, then I'll not be surprised to see this trend line get broken. But in terms of the fibs, I think it will most probably play out. But of course, it doesn't have to. Okay, let's flip it to cable. Cable. What I've been speaking about the last few weeks, been saying it's due some sort of retracement, and it just doesn't want to retrace. It's just been pure grind high mode. Taking out all sort of stops above highs each week. Yeah, it's just you're brave man to sell this pair, but I still personally think the odds are in favour of a retracement. Key level to look out for, I think, is these 1.70 handle. It's eyeing it. You can see. I mean, if we get a weak NFP number today, I would have thought that would definitely get a test. Bear in mind, yeah, we're only sort of, well, we are about 100 pips off it. I mean, so you've got the 169s at the minute, but if we get a weak NFP, I think we'll definitely should get a test of that today. You can see 169 is a key line in the sand at the minute. Let's flip it to the daily now. Yeah, it's just been grinding hard. No sort of major dips. I mean, there are on the shorter term charts. If I flip it to, I mean, in terms of the daily, nothing major of interest. It's just pure grind high. There's no sort of big dip. I mean, the only recent sort of fib move we got was that move there. I remember speaking about that came off the 61.8. I should delete the 78.6 just to make it a bit clearer. So it's just been all about as it's been such grind high mode, it's been all about just playing the shorter term dips or selling any sort of mini retracement off of a round number. In my opinion, that's how I've personally been looking at it. So yeah, I mean, on this 4 you can see we had these lovely dips here we've spoken about in the previous week's videos, but I personally wouldn't be looking at, I mean, the next technical swing low is that one there, but that's not a pure fib move in my opinion. And to be honest, if we do get down there, it's probably going to be because it's because we get a strong NFP number today, and in that case I definitely wouldn't want to be buying that dip. I'd want to personally be looking at a more obvious swing low, which I can't really see on this daily chart, to be honest, because it's just these sort of small moves here. So yeah, I mean, in terms of for cable, nothing major of interest. I mean, this week for me, it's just been looking at the sort of the round numbers. If you're looking at the shorter term time frames, I think what do we have here? Yeah, the sort of 1.6, and we've got the 169 on there. What was I looking at this week? I can't even remember now. Yeah, 168.50s. Let's draw that up. 168.50s was nice resistance there, you can see. So it came up, tested that, I think on the 4 hour might have been. Yeah, you can see nice sort of spikes, and then it came back down. But I mean, the last couple of days I haven't really been looking at cable, to be honest, because this sort of action doesn't really interest me. It's just very choppy stuff. Nothing. I mean, if you look at the real short-term time frames, then yeah, you can sort of, there may be some interesting opportunities. I mean, that one, yeah, that was a textbook one off of 169, 15-minute spike up, or even I think, yeah, the 1 hour reversal candle there. You can see that came back down. It's got a brief selling opportunity, but then you can see it already got bought up. So very bullish action here on cable. And to be honest, looking at this chart, it's all about 169 and 160 and the 170 level. If we get a weak NFP number, definitely at 170 will be a key line in the sand. Dollar Swiss on the weekly, all about the same thing we've been speaking about for a while. So you've got the 2 fibs there, that big bearish setup, sellers looking to grind us lower towards the 0.70 handle, and then you got the counter move, which is from the low of 2011 to the high of 2012, and that 50% comes at 0.8511. So that's the fib to keep an eye out for. In terms of recent stuff, obviously we're doing this on a weekly, these videos on a weekly basis. It's interesting to look at the sort of previous couple of weeks handles, and it's still sort of making higher lows really, although this week actually it has made a slightly lower low, a lower low. In terms of the key sort of supports, 0.87 handle is a key one there. And in terms of what has been going on this week, yes, I mean, all I'm personally looking at these sort of recent supports and the sort of round numbers. You got the 0.80 handle, then you got the 0.8750s, and then 0.88. They've all been playing out in terms of key sort of supports and resistance. I mean, in terms of yesterday's daily candle, we did actually get a close below the 0.88, so do keep an eye out on that. But what is interesting is sort of mini fib there. It's getting bought up off of the 61.8, so that's why it's currently trying to pop up high, but obviously that's not a purist of fibs. Yeah, so nothing majorly of interest in dollar Swiss. It's been a little bit, I mean, if you just purely look at it on that weekly chart, it's just chopping around. I mean, yes, it looks like it could sort of come up and test this 50-week moving average, but again, like Euro and cable, a lot will be dictated by the NFP number today. And if we get a strong NFP, then don't be surprised in the next couple of weeks to see this 50-week moving average get tested. But if we get a weaker number, then don't be surprised to finally see this sort of 50% to see it come down near this 50%, sort of blow out these stops here. There's sort of 0.87 level and come back down. It is looking quite weak, I must say. I mean, a long downtrend there, which has been holding for some while now, well, since 2013. So yeah, it's just in grind sort of lower mode. But yeah, in terms of shorter term charts, nothing major of interest in terms of 4 hour. I mean, you've got this move here. That's the only sort of notable one I can think of, to be honest with you. That sort of played out nicely off of that 50%. You can see even clear on the daily as well there. Nice sort of spike. That's a spike reversal candle there. But interestingly, that closed above the 88, but then we've got that close below yesterday. So that's pretty much it in terms of dollar Swiss. Aussie, same thing we've been speaking about for the last few weeks now. I mean, we got this close above the 50-week moving average, but last week's weekly candle, this week's weekly candle, you can see it's currently forming a doji, so a lot of indecision in the market here. I think we'll see it come down and test this 50-week moving average, to be honest. But if it doesn't, then it looks like it just wants to keep on grinding higher towards the 100-week moving average. But also remember, you got this key 0.94 level, which is currently holding on this Aussie. But if we do keep on further and coming down, then remember to keep an eye on that fib. That's one definitely to keep a focus on, and that's the exact same thing on the daily chart as well. I'm not personally interested in these sort of moves here, that sort of recent swing low. I'd rather look at the more obvious one, but of course we're still a long way away from that. And what we've been speaking about in the last sort of few weeks videos in terms of this Aussie, I mean, I personally think it's due to sort of come back. The more obvious thing is for it to come back down to these sort of healthier levels here at the sort of this 50% comes at 0.9059. So in that case, it's all about just sort of selling the shorter term dips, in my opinion. You had that one there off the 50%. I think if you extend it down, then move the high down, you got that sort of move there coming in at sort of 50% level as well. It's much clearer on the daily chart there. So you can see yesterday was a sort of reversal candle. Well, it did have a bit of lower wick on that, but ever still, I would assume a lot of people will be sort of selling this at the 50%, trying to bring this lower towards this bigger 50% at the 0.9059 level. And that's pretty much it in terms of the Aussie. In terms of 4 hour, 1 hour, nothing major of interest. The bigger, I mean, I think this is the fib move here. This is off the 1 hour. But it's not that pure. But you can see, in terms of, I mean, if you're a really short-term trader, then these smaller fibs can work. I mean, you can see on this 50% here, it's already acting quite nicely as we speak. So I've just flipped it to the 30-minute chart, for example. Buyers already coming in, going to try and push that back up and scalp a few pips. That's the way you can play it if you're a shorter-term player. Gold on the daily, same move, same setup, same level as we spoke about in the last sort of couple of weeks videos. It is struggling to get any sort of traction towards the upside. Every time you do get a bounce, it just gets sold off. So with that first bounce here off the sort of 1280s, got caps at the 50-day moving average, came back down, tested the 1280s again, pop up, and it's just retraced again. And you can see yesterday we got the test of the 1280s, spiked below, and it's currently holding. So key line in the sand on gold in terms of this daily chart, when in terms of the sort of the overall pair is purely this 1280s. And if I flip it to the weekly, you can see that fib even more clearer. So last week's weekly candle was a bullish weekly candle, but you can see last time we had that, it had a brief pop up and then we came back down. So, and you can see this 50-week moving average is just currently, so on the daily you got the 50-day moving average capping, and on the weekly you got the 50-week moving average capping. But bias, I mean, if I did this on a Monday, I'd still say bias is towards the upside purely because of last week's weekly candle. That's a bullish hammer off of a sort of pure fib move. So again, similar to Euro, do not be surprised to see a weaker NFP number today, because if it is weak, we'll see gold rip up here and form a lovely bullish candle and probably a close above that 50-week moving average. So it can be very interesting today. But in terms of the charts, in terms of what I think NFP could do today, I would not be surprised to see a weak number perhaps below 200,000. But of course it doesn't have to. It's just purely on me looking at charts and sort of charts coinciding with the technicals. Okay then, that is all for today. Hope you found that video useful. Hope you have a great NFP day today, and a great weekend, and I'll catch you next Friday. Thanks for watching. Hope you found this video useful.